We do want to thank Interprefy, who is providing closed caption. Our audio, the sponsors, Bring on the Night, and Adams DJ, thank you so much for providing your services. And if there's ever been a time where you've realized that this world has so much connectivity and yet you're having issues making connections, you're in the right space, because this gentleman right here, Jason Thomson, is going to address that very thing. Jason, welcome to the stage. The floor is yours, sir.
Get off my stage. Good morning. We have a problem. Oh, do we have a problem? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Listen, we have more ways to connect than we ever had in the history of the world. Think about this for a second. We're at the Northwest Event Show, right? Right? Here we are, we're hanging out, we're connecting, we're doing business. Technology. I've been texting my kid this morning. She's got food poisoning back in Toronto, right? To make sure she's okay. Yeah, I made that exact same face when I found that out as well. Social media. Right, social media. What a great, no, wait a second. It's not a great way to connect. In fact, it's actually revealing the problem that we have. We have more ways to connect than ever before, and we're doing a worse job at it. Today, I want to talk about that. I call it a misconnection. You have control. And when you walk out of this space today, you are going to have the ability to make better connections in your love life, with your kids, and most importantly, with your business. All you got to do is understand what the biggest problem is. Because there's a lot of things. We have things like cognitive overload, right? We're hearing too much. You are going to hear way too much over the course of just this session, never mind the day, right? We have bias, we have opinion. In fact, the three most dangerous phrases in the English language right now are I think, I feel, and I believe. Not based in fact, all opinion, opinion, opinion. And so what that does is it means we make a choice. That choice that we make is to be right. We want to be right almost more than anything in the world. And that creates misconnection. You can control it though. You can go another way. You can choose to be connected rather than to be right. And to show how that works, I'm going to put up this amazing stock photograph of people connecting. And I'm going to tell you what happened when I arrived here in Seattle on Monday night. It was a 21-hour travel day from Toronto. Not full travel day, 21-hour day. Got up at 5 a.m., did all the stuff, walked the dog, took him to the camp and all that sort of stuff. By the time I got here, as you might expect, I was tired, right? And then I had to wait an hour for my bag. And then I had to wait an hour for my Uber. Yeah, because apparently all of the flights arrive on Monday night here in Seattle. Thing I learned. When my driver got there, he poured me into the Uber that he had, and he said to me, "Where are you here from?" And I already knew where this conversation was going to go because I had to say, "I'm here from Canada." Anybody hear anything about Canada recently in the news? Yeah, exactly. That's what I feared, right? And so you don't want to have a conversation like that because that's going to lead to conflict. And so I had a choice to make. I said, "I'm here from Canada." He goes, "Oh, how's it all going?" He goes, I was honest with him. I was vulnerable with him. I said, look, we're all freaking out north of the border right now. We're all a little bit scared. This is where I had to make my choice. I could have then gone on a rant about all sorts of things and then just ended up in a fight and probably got thrown out of the car on the side of the road, or I could choose to be connected. And so what I did was I said to him this, how are things going here in Washington State? And then suddenly the whole tone in the car changed. And now we're talking to each other as people about our kids, about our lives, about our families, about the things that we want to do. And when I got out of the cab at the State Hotel, he came up to me and he hugged me. This is a dude I met 30 minutes previous. That's how important connection is. And you know what? You've had a conversation just like that this year, or maybe late last year. It could have been Thanksgiving where you thought everything was going to go wrong because somebody had a little bit too much wine and you wanted to talk about the election or something, but it didn't. Something went right. And the something that went right was you realized this. If there's one thing you write down today, it's this. Connection counts most. It counts over everything else. It counts over being right. It counts over your knowledge. If you can connect with somebody, they will listen to you. They will make a difference. Read some great books on the topic and writing one of my own right now. So today we're going to do that. We're going to deconstruct that great conversation that you didn't expect to have last year, but you had. So how do you do it? How do you go out there and connect with people effectively? Well, just do all of this. If you do all of this, you're good to go, right? And in showing you this, and thank you, you're both doing exactly what I hoped you would do. You're not listening to me anymore. You're reading the slide. I'm misconnecting right now, so I'm going to take it away with a promise. At the very end of today's session, there's going to be a QR code. You're going to get the deck. You're going to get an episode of my radio show from Toronto about how to hold a great meeting and some tools that you can use as well. In the meantime, let's talk about the 4 things I'm going to share with you today. These are the 4 chapters. So, what are the 4 chapters? Well, if you've seen me present before, you know, I'm not going to tell you, because if I don't, you're going to be curious. And if you're going to be curious, I've just engaged with you a little bit more than you expected. Good. That said, I want you to succeed today. So I'm going to show you one of these chapters because they're organized in the same way. Same rhythm, same beat, so you can succeed. Basically what I'm telling you is, here's where you can look at your phone. Okay? Here we go. First I'm going to give you a background, then I'm going to tell you a story, then I'm going to give you a boss headline. This is something that I talk about a lot in my speaker coaching. That's what you want to pay attention to. You're going to write that down because that answers the question, how do you do it? Right? Then I'm going to give you 3 things you can do, and then we're going to try something. You saw some Post-it notes on your little seat there. We're going to use those in just a couple of minutes. All right, all said, we ready? Strap in, because we're going to do some really cool stuff here, and we're going to start by talking about the first most important thing you need when it comes to better connections, because you want those better connections for your family, for your spouse, and for what you do for work every single day. The first thing, no shock, is curiosity. You need to be curious. And when I say that, you're all going, yeah, we know that. But the thing is that we're not curious people. We are judgmental people. Yeah, we judge everything. You want me to prove it to you? I'm going to show you a photo right now, and half of this audience is going to go, yay! And half of this audience is going to recoil in horror. Are you ready? I'm going to watch Heather's face when this happens. Here we go. Oh yeah, ketchup on eggs. Half of you right now are like, breakfast! And the other half of my people are like, this is horrifying right now. Judgment. In fact, I'm going to replace this with a picture of a puppy because I can't look at the ketchup on the eggs. We are judgmental people. If you want to see where empathy is supposed to work, it's the hardest moment. We need empathy when things are hard, but we tend to abandon empathy when things are hard. Anybody here ever been cut off in traffic? Is your first response, hey, I wonder what's going on with that person in the BMW over there? Or is it, you son of a, oh wait a second, my kid's in the back seat. Right, judgment. But the thing is, we have to make that trade. We have to be conscious about how we make that trade and stop being judgmental and start being more curious. It is much harder than it looks. But if you can do that, you can make a difference. You can make a difference to your business. You can make a difference to pretty much any situation and de-escalate it. So, 3 things that you can do to actually make that trade. Well, the first thing that you want to do, is you want to be hyper empathetic, not just regular empathetic. Regular empathy, fine. Brene Brown, thank you for all of that great stuff. But in truth, is you want to make a conscious investment in empathy. And so we're clear, this is what empathy is. It doesn't mean you agree with anybody. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you don't have to agree with that. All you have to do is go, I wonder what's going on in their world. That's it. If you can do that, then you're all on your way to being hyper empathetic. And if you're hyper empathetic, you're curious. And if you're curious, you've taken a step forward to where you should go. Second, what do? We get input. Anybody here ever been in a tussle, a fight, a disagreement with their spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend? Anybody? Nobody? Sorry. I like how you begrudgingly put up, yeah, all right, fine. Okay, what do? They say something we don't like and we immediately give it back to them. We do this a lot on social media, right? You voted for the person I didn't like, you like that hockey team that I don't like, I'm going to let you have it. And that's a problem. That's a problem because if you react, you're not going to be able to connect because you've chosen the other path of judgment. And then the last one is about how we ask questions. Curiosity, shocker, comes about asking questions, but it's not just asking questions. I do a lot of panel coaching. I was at IMEX earlier this year, and in panel coaching, It's not the first question that's the most important question. It's the second one. The first one gets you on the board, gets the topic in front of somebody. But the second one, it digs deep. And most importantly, what happens is, if you actually ask a great follow-up question, it says to the other person, I see you. And I see you is the most important thing, because that's what we all want. Everybody here wants to be seen. I'm going to pick on somebody right here. Here's somebody wearing an incredible suit. This right here, right? Did you do that because, did you decide to put on that suit just cause? Or you're like, hey world, look at how awesome I am. Maybe not those words, but we see you and you've made a good choice today. Nice work. These are the things you want to do. And in fact, that's going to lead us to our first exercise. We're going to take off our headphones for about 2 minutes, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a friend. And when you make the friend, I'll tell you what, I'll promise. When you make the friend, I want you to turn to them and I want you to ask them one opening question. What is your favorite drink? What's your favorite drink?
Diet Coke.
What is it?
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. And do you like to zhuzh it up in any way? Like lime or whatever?
Lime, but I just,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
anyway, just not vanilla.
Awesome. Diet Coke. Maybe lime, maybe not lime. What I want you to do is ask the person what their favorite drink is. Could be a cocktail. I'm a huge coffee guy, right? Like I love my cortados in a big way, and I was telling to somebody from Starbucks, I was trying to impress them that I have my own coffee kit in my room to be able to do that. So that's what I want you to do. I want you to take 2 minutes. I want you to turn to your friend. I want you to say, what's your favorite drink? And then I want you to ask them, how do you make it? That's it. 2 minutes. When you see me do this, put your headphones back on. You ready? Let's go.
You guys already know each other?
I just love it. I don't know. It's my favorite. My favorite drink is a matcha latte.
What's your favorite drink?
Water.
Water. And do you do anything to it, or you just like good, cold, crisp water?
Maybe bubbling water.
Okay. I've learned making coffee is to buy distilled water and to pour this little packet of stuff to actually, minerals that makes it taste amazing. And it's not like they're just natural minerals that I use for coffee, so it makes the coffee taste amazing. So, yeah, it's a company called Third Wave Water. Isn't that cool? Cool, welcome, welcome. We good? All right, you look fantastic. Okay. All right, my friends, if you don't have or if you do have your headphones on, we're going to move on, but I'm going to wave. Hey, everybody, come on back, come on back, come on back. What was your drink?
Grapefruit juice.
Grapefruit?
Grapefruit juice.
Okay. And anything interesting about?
I mean, freshly squeezed, we determined. And actually, I love it on ice.
Okay, there you go. If you're going to drink fruit juice, make it freshly squeezed. I'm all over that for sure. I was telling somebody behind, I'm so fanatical about coffee that I actually buy distilled water, and you buy these little sachets that are like called Third Wave Water so that the water tastes perfect for coffee. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, black coffee tastes amazing now. I'm going to be honest with you. There, we've done it. You were curious, and I saw lots of great conversations. It's exactly what you hope to see. You're one step closer to making a best friend. Fantastic. Okay, curiosity is the first one. This is all in service of the person across from you. In fact, you learn a lot around connection is if you can make it in service of the other person, something will give. However, you can't be a boring person when you show up. And so it's really important not just to be interested, but also to be interesting, which is the opposite of what you hear from people from time to time. They say, always be interested in someone else. Absolutely, but bring them something. In fact, I brought you something today. I was trying to think about, when it comes to the idea of fascinating, what can I bring you? And I'm going to bring you my cheat sheet for any time that I present. One of the first places that I go is to Reddit. A lot of young faces here, so I'm going to suggest most of you know what Reddit is. If you don't, it's about a bajillion communities on every single topic. And my favorite is Today I Learned. Today I Learned is just crazy facts, and you're all reading it right now, and you're thinking the same thing that I thought when I saw this. The Hindenburg had a smoking lounge? You've got to be kidding. A smoking lounge, that's real? I have learned on Today I Learned that Queen Elizabeth II had someone whose exclusive job was to break in her shoes. That's true. And my favorite one is the capital. Anybody here know what the capital of Portugal is? Anybody know what it was from about 1811 to 1835? It was Buenos Aires. That's true. Buenos Aires, Brazil. That's right. That's the way I reacted as well. Because the royal family was fleeing Portugal and they put the capital in Brazil. Cool, right? You're going to learn all sorts of great stuff like this. Why am I telling you this is important? I had somebody in the events industry who was the president of an agency. I have been a creative director and a copywriter for many, many years. From here, I'm actually going to another event where I wrote the opening experience. I'm the MC on stage. And he said, this is what you got to do. My hope is that I am the best part of somebody's day here today. That you walk away going, I'm energized by that giant Muppet, right? Like I feel good and I learned something of value. So go out there and be the best part of somebody's day. How do you do that? Well, here's 3 things that I swear by. And the first one is my favorite. MERV, M-I-R-V. That is an initialism and it means memorable or meaningful, depending on how you're feeling that day, or pretending how I'm feeling that day. I'm going to go with memorable. Memorable, interesting, relevant, valuable. MERV, M-I-R-V, memorable, interesting, relevant, valuable. You know what all 4 of those letters are? They're bringing you something. I'm not just showing up with like a fact, right? And going, well, you better like that fact. I'm probably going to be dealing with youthful planners in Seattle. Find something where they all know Reddit, and find something cool on Reddit that they can share. So I was thinking of you without thinking of you, and totally not in a creepy way. I swear to God, right? That's the first thing. Be MERV every single time that you can work. If you ever pitch events, right, to a client, don't start by saying, let me tell you about my company. What you start by is, let me tell you about your problem. And then you weave in your story about your company organically. And that makes a difference because people are listening because you've brought them something. You've been the best part of their day. Second thing, I had a weird hobby during the pandemic. My weird hobby was behavioral economics and neuroscience. I just wanted to understand how the brain works because I was watching people, as a creative director, literally walk out of events. I watched one guy who was so boring from a technology company that there were 800 people in the audience at the beginning of his presentation, and there were 120 people in the audience at the end of his presentation, and the worst part was there was an expo on the other side of the plenary room doors, and they were all networking, and I could hear them from stage 200 feet away. Why? Because he sucked. Why did he suck? Because he didn't think about the audience. He didn't bring them anything interesting. He literally got up there and talked about his Myers-Briggs score for 7 minutes of a 45-minute presentation. Same horror, same time, tried to coach him, no good. You want to break into the brain of your audience. I'm doing that here. I'm doing things like repeating key phrases. What gets repeated gets remembered. That is what I call a boss headline. Short, smart, pithy, powerful, and memorable. And I'm going to repeat it. What gets repeated gets remembered. Or connection counts most. If I repeat that stuff, you'll do what this lovely person is doing right here, which is write it down. And if you write it down, you are going to remember it. If you can remember it, you're going to use it. If you're going to use it someday, you're going to say, I need a keynote speaker for my event. What about the giant Muppet from Seattle? That's fantastic. You have to understand, we have cognitive overload. You will not remember everything from this presentation. I will say upwards of 9,000 words. 9,000 words, I will say. I'm using things like tonal inflection, and I'm stretching time when I really want you to pay attention to something. All these are what I'm thinking about as I'm developing these presentations and rehearsing. And the last one, anybody here ever hear storytelling's valuable? Anybody? Yeah, all of us. What does that actually mean? Well, a narrative story, beginning, middle, end, right? It lights up your entire brain. And that means we have emotional connection. And if we have emotional connection, you'll remember what it is that I'm saying. You will remember the ketchup on eggs, especially if it was something that hurt you just a little bit today. What you've got to do is you've got to look at your storytelling a little bit differently than you might today. Because when we ask people in the corporate world for a story, what do? They give me a case study, right? Here was a problem, here was a result, and here is what we actually managed to create out of that, right? That's not a good story. That's a good case study, but a good story has detail. It's like if I told you my favorite movie of all time was, there's this kid, and you know what, he's trying to make it, but nothing seems to be happening. One day a sage comes by and says, hey, I think you're destined for greatness. And the kid's like, I know, and off they go, and they fail. And then they win, and then they fail. And then they win bigger. And then just before the ultimate failure, the kid becomes the hero. What movie is that? Normally I have a picture of Luke Skywalker up here, because it's Star Wars, and Harry Potter, and all that sort of stuff, Matrix, everything. What's missing is detail. If I said there's a kid and he gets locked under the stairs every night, he's 11 years old, until one day a guy shows up on a motorcycle and says, Harry, you're a wizard. Well, you know what movie that is. Same structure. First one was a case study, second one is a story. And so I want you to be interesting. How are we going to do that? Well, that's going to bring us to our second exercise. In just a second, I want you to think about the best podcast you've listened to or thing you're binge watching. You look more like a binge watcher to me. I don't know why that is. Greatest place that you've eaten in Seattle, whatever it is, something really, really cool. Then I want you to grab the Post-it notes that you see around you. And I put out a bunch of markers. I don't think everybody's got one. Sharing is caring, right? Okay, I want you to find that. I want you to write down your one thing. After you've written it down, let's see, where are we going to put them? Let's just put them right on the floor right here. I want you to stick it to the floor, and you're going to see in just 60 seconds, 90 seconds, how much a bunch of people who have great ideas can create something extraordinary. You ready? Go. Favorite podcast, favorite meal, favorite book you're reading or audibling, just anything that you love that you think you want to share with somebody else, write it down. We're going to put it on the floor right here, because as soon as you got it written down, we're going to put it on the floor. Look at you go. I love that. Speed writer. What'd you write down? Love it, love it, love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My favorite podcast, The Knowledge Project out of Ottawa, Ontario, long form writing, 2 hours, give you some great stuff. You can listen to my podcast called The Playbook. It's actually I like to say this, it's an actual radio show on an actual radio station in Toronto, Saga 960. And we teach skills like this every single day. Look at you go. And of course you're all planners. I always love this experiment. It's not like we're putting the notes up there willy-nilly. They're in orderly rows, right? This is professional events. Look at you go. Amazing, amazing. When we're done here today, what I want you to do is grab your cell phone and walk up here and take a picture of this, because now you have more stuff to watch, more stuff to listen to. Hey, here's one that probably didn't make the list. Just dropped on Apple TV Plus this morning. It is called The Studio. It's a Seth Rogen thing. I watched the first 20 minutes early this morning. Really good, really fun. Have you seen it? It's good, it looks good. Nice work, thank you. All right, look at that, look at that. In no time, we went from no ideas to what, 30 ideas in just seconds. This is a great exercise to run if you're running brainstorming, ideation, or design thinking, and it shows that you are all fascinating, not just fascinated. All right, there it goes. I was so excited, I didn't even need to put up the instructions. How easy is that? First, you're gonna make the trade. You're going to make the trade from being judgmental to being curious, and really to ask people things with that curious mindset. Don't cross-examine them, make that happen. See, what gets repeated gets remembered, right? Second, not just fascination, but fascinating. You want to get up there and you want to give them something. We see this a lot in sales, right? I see organizations say, hey, listen, we did an analysis on your industry. Here's what's coming for you. That's being fascinating. You know, being able to do that. And so asking someone or saying to someone, hey, listen, if you make that choice when it comes to your next event, that's going to be a bit of a problem, because you have a neurodiverse audience and hey, they want things to be a little bit quieter. Perhaps that's one of the things that you're looking at. So knowing that, those first two are between easy to be fascinating, semi-hard to be curious, but the last one, this one is difficult. And that is the idea of being vulnerable. Oh, I love the idea of vulnerability, right? And in a second here, I'm going to talk about my friend Julia. But before I do, I want to tell you that this is the single hardest trick that you can ever make. Because being vulnerable means you're giving somebody the gift of trust. It means you're standing up in front of them and saying something to them that they didn't expect. I saw this a couple of weeks ago. It's a new Formula One race season, right? And there are a lot of kids between 19 and 22 sort of thing. I say that out loud by saying that there are some 19 to 21-year-olds in this audience right now. What happened was, this guy, his name's Isaac Hadgers from France, is they have a formation lap, right? They're going around in circles so that they know where the cars sit. And Isaac crashed in the formation lap. Before he had his very first race, before his first moment, before the lights go off, and he's going to be in the Netflix special, he crashed. Got out of his car, and he was weeping. That is honesty, that is vulnerability, that is incredible. And Lewis Hamilton, who is the 7-time champion, his dad actually put his arm around him. What was most interesting was, then a competitor actually said that was embarrassing. And you know what social media did? They took him to task. They said that kid should be able to show it. This is a new world. It's a world in which vulnerability is a good thing to happen. You know who knows this? My friend Julia. This is Julia O'Grady. On the left, you can see her. She's there at the Site Global Conference in Tulum. She was talking about mental health. And I gotta say, when I say that, I know what you're picturing, right? Massages and self-care time and things that are not pragmatic. Julia has a different approach to things. Julia actually is a planner who works, this is true, and when you hear this, you are not going to believe me, she works 4 days a week. In this industry, where we don't think 7 days a week is nearly enough. Julia has figured it out, and she posts a lot. I would really suggest you follow her on LinkedIn because she has a lot of great ideas. One of the simple ones is this one. This is her LinkedIn post from a couple of weeks ago. She said, when was the last time that you went and had lunch without your phone, without your clients, and without an agenda? You just sat down and enjoyed the lunch. Now, if you've done that recently, good for you. I did it yesterday. I'm at the State Hotel, and I actually went and had breakfast. I haven't done this in years. I didn't do anything except listen to the kid chatter at the next table to me, enjoy the eggs. Best darn sourdough toast I'd ever had in my entire life. And that charged me enough that I was able to actually move forward with the rest of my day with some sort of spirit. Julia's vulnerability is making a difference to me. It should make a difference to you too, because vulnerability is giving the gift of trust. Think about that for a second. Is that if you are vulnerable with somebody, there's a good chance that they'll be vulnerable with you. In fact, that's my first thing. The first thing that you need to understand, and this is the hardest part, is you have to make it safe for somebody to be vulnerable with you. Now you can do this if you moderate a meeting or you're up here like me right now, but what often you can do is just be vulnerable first. Tell the audience something that they didn't expect. And you know, I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, Jason, you're just a big liar, because you have something big in your head that you could be vulnerable with, and you've gone back and forth over the last 24 hours to try and tell the audience. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to give you the gift of trust. You ready? 48 hours ago in Toronto, I was in the hospital. Why? Because I had AFib. My wonderful Apple Watch said my heart was beating weirdly. And I'm like, oh my God, I have to go to Seattle on a plane tonight. Well, you know what? Everything worked out. It's all okay, except for the part that I had to drop caffeine for a moment. Other than that, that's good. There's me being vulnerable. So now you know you can come up and tell me pretty much anything, and you know what? I'll be cool with it. I'll be cool with it. That's vulnerability in action. What do you want to do? When I keynote, I talk a lot about the things that I do where I failed. In fact, I'm going to share one with you in just a couple of minutes. When you share failures, people feel comfortable. It's a strange thing. It almost feels like the reverse of what it should be. But when people feel that they can fail too, that's empathy. And as we've learned, hyper-empathy is a big part of what we do every single day. Last thing. I was hosting an event in Michigan in October. And a guy got up on stage and he said, active listening. Many of you have probably heard of it. Active listening is a cornerstone of how we listen effectively. He said, doesn't work for me. I have ADHD and I just can't do it. But what I did learn is something called insight listening, and I perked up because I had never heard this phrase before, and I study this for a living. Insight listening is, I'm going to tell you 50 things. You already know 48 of them, right? But you're hungry to hear the other two. You're desperate to hear the other two. The other two will change your life. And so, that is what you want to do, is you want to look at somebody and say, that person has something I need. And today, you know 80% of what I've told you today, but 20% was like, oh, Merv, that's kind of interesting. And the secret chord, what is that all about? These are the things that can help you out. And ultimately, there you go. You've got the opportunity to make the difference by being vulnerable. Now, given the time that we've got, and it's the perfect amount of time, I'm going to give you a little challenge, but I'm going to give you a trigger warning. I'm going to send you to a website, if you are up for it, that every single week for the last 25 years has posted secrets. It's actually called Post Secret. It's been around forever. It's amazing. And in every week, as you're scrolling through, you will find something that makes you laugh. And you will find something that horrifies you. And you may find something that triggers you, which is why I'm saying to you, hey, listen, if it triggers you, you don't have to go there. But my suggestion is go to postsecret.com right now. So I'm not going to ask you to actually share your deepest, darkest secrets with somebody. I'm just going to ask you to go check it out and say, if something resounds with you, just turn to the person next to you and say, this is kind of cool. All right? You ready? Set? Go. 2 minutes, we're going to do this in. Go into Post Secret, find the cool secrets. How many keynotes tell you to go on your phone, right? Postsecret.com, guy's out of, his name's Frank, he's out of Baltimore. So if you've never been to Baltimore, you can go out and look up Frank. People on the internet being vulnerable. This is what you're doing. I'm watching faces right now, and I'm watching a couple little smiles, some horrified looks, all that sort of stuff. This is definitely not safe for work stuff, which is why we got to do it right now, right? I'm going to give you another 60 seconds to take a look. If you want to share it with the person next to you and go, hey, this is kind of neat. Did you see this one? This is interesting. Does anybody here have one that they absolutely loved? Or have I just given you all something amazing to do over coffee on a Sunday morning? Because that's when they post the new ones. Heather, what do you got? Walking over to Dr. Heather. Thank you. People at work call me Craig. My name is Jim and I'm too scared to tell them otherwise. We've all been there, right? Right? Because that's the thing. That's what you're looking for on Post Secret, is a thing that says, hey, there's somebody else who had a situation just like me. I don't feel so scared. I don't feel so alone. And vulnerability, well, vulnerability comes to the rescue once again, my friends. All right, what have we learned so far? We have learned curiosity, and that is less judgmental. Next time you're cut off, just say to yourself, hey, I wonder if they're going to the hospital. See, I have 3 kids. My kids just remind me to do that constantly. The second thing, you're going to be fascinating. You're going to go on Reddit. You're going to find cool stuff in this post-it wall. You are going to make a difference by being the best part of somebody's day. And then vulnerability, I can see it in your face right now. You're like, I get it. I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I get it, right? Is you're going to try and be vulnerable. You're going to try and be a little bit closer. And when you do these things, just these 3 things, you're going to develop the connections you want. And this is the part of the presentation where I have to tell you that, listen, these things, they work for superheroes and supervillains alike. I just choose to believe that all of you are well, maybe not you. You might be in the supervillain category. You work for a production company, so there you are. That's the key. So what's the 4th chapter if I've already given you everything? It's called The Secret Core. And as I've been working on the book, I developed this construct, and I'm sure I didn't develop it, that it exists in some other way, shape, or form, but I like it so much that I actually use it at home. Back in October, I was at my partner's house. Now, my partner is a family lawyer, and I am a communication professional. So these are fights that go on for between 7 and 10 years, generally speaking. But as I've learned the secret chord, I've gotten better at this. And so she came to me and she showed me this. And this was a new tile backsplash. She owns a Baptist church from 1880 that is near a lake north of Toronto. It's amazing. And she showed me this, and in my head, because I can be a bit of a smart ass at times, I thought, I don't have any plants in my home, so I'm going to say to her, what are those things that are on the actual piece, right? I was missing the social cues. And so I said to her, that's great, but what are those things? And she unloaded on me, because what I had missed was, what she was really saying to me was, hey, I've got this tile backsplash, I spend money on it, I'm scared I've made a mistake. That's the part she didn't say out loud yet, and that I missed, and because of that, I'm making jokes and making it about me, and I'm losing my partner as a result, and we're heading towards one of our epic 7 to 10 year fights. So, as I was on the couch sleeping that night, I was thinking to myself, I wonder what I could do differently. And this is what I came up with. When you talk to anybody and you get a piece of input, the first thing that you do is don't do anything. Pause and let it land. Remember what I said about responding versus reacting? This is the first thing you do. Viktor Frankl, the famous philosopher, talks about that idea that the most powerful thing that we have as human beings is the ability to just stop for a second, a minute, 30 minutes, whatever it is. Do not react. Don't let your face belie you. Don't worry. Just pause. Then, what you need to do is look at them and validate. So, what I could have said was, pause. Genevieve, do you love these tiles? And then, given her the space to say, I'm afraid I made a mistake. And that is where you ask the first question. And the first question is in your head. You don't normally ask it out loud. In the book, Difficult Conversations by 3 Harvard professors, they talk about that there are 3 things happening in any given conversation. There is the thing that happened. You left your socks on the floor, right? But then, deeper, what's really going on is emotion and identity. So in my conversation, I was reacting to the thing that happened, these tiles, and I gotta make a smart-ass joke. But what she was thinking was, I am anxious, I am afraid, and I need to find that. That's my job as a partner. And, by the way, she was also having an identity issue, which is, I'm an idiot for buying this in the first place. These things are complex, they're related to a lot of our psychology and that sort of stuff, but asking that question, what's really going on here, will change your life. And then, the last thing that you do is you ask another question, but this one is you ask out loud. And you say, hey, I see that you're a little bit anxious right now. What do you need? And in my house, it's what do you need? Hammer, hammock, or hug? And I learned this from somebody on when I did a parenting radio show years ago. Hammer, do you need me to do something? Guys, that's what we do, right? Hammock, that's what most people need. Or hug, do you need some sort of connection? What Genevieve needed in that moment was a hammer. She needed me to validate, yes, these are beautiful tiles, you should put them on the wall immediately, and a hug. And literally a hug. And in fact, I didn't end up sleeping on the couch that night. I stopped myself after I made the joke to go, you can bring this back. And I did. And I did this, and we had a great day together. And the tile, which is up on our wall right now, looks phenomenal. Okay, last thing in just the last few minutes that we've got is, let's put this into action. I met with a bunch of nurses back in November and was trying to teach them the idea of empathy. And I taught them the secret chord. And so what we did was we decided, when you start, when you want to pause, it's really helpful to have something go on in your head to say, stop. In fact, it's a little mantra. And I once heard a Marine say to me, his favorite mantra, big tough Marine, he goes, butterflies in, bees out, right? He does that instead of answering or anything in real time. And you know what? He's had a pretty great marriage, 46 years, so I think he's doing pretty well so far. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take 2 minutes and you are going to come up with your own mantra. The thing that the next time that somebody gives you something you don't like and you're going to pause with, I want you to come up with a phrase that you can say to yourself, and you can share it with your neighbor. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes, super fast copywriting, and then we'll get closer to that QR code. All right, everybody, 2 minutes, come up with your mantra that's going to cause you to pause. Oh, that rhymes. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Do you want to do question and answer afterward?
If we've got time, I don't think we will. I did the interactivity this way. Oh, we got music going on. You rock! I should have asked this before. Do you have a good mantra? You working on it? Hey, terrible mantras are the best. Mine is is good. I breathe in deeply. Good. Breathe out. Calm. That's what I do. That's what I do every time. I did turbulence is a great place for that one, I gotta tell you. Do you already have a mantra? I had a woman, this is true, I said, what's your mantra? And she sang me this Italian song from when she was a kid. I'm like, first of all, that's awesome. Second of all, that's really long. That's gonna take you a while every single time. You're gonna pause, great. All right, do you have a great, you thinking it through? Okay, think about something that brings you joy. Peace, play, all that sort of stuff. All right, given that we are running down on time, I am going to pause us here and say, I hope you have a great mantra. Let's talk about what we learned today. 4 things. 4 things. And while they may sound obvious, the implementation of them may not be. And I'm going to tell you straight up, when it comes to action, well, we can give some of this curiosity and vulnerability away because we want to be right. Stop wanting to be right. Instead, be curious. Ask good questions. Ask good follow-up questions. Make that part of your everyday. You're making that trade. Less judgmental, more curious. Second, be fascinating. Bring cool stuff. I'm going to take a picture of this. I'm going to steal all these things and go and watch, listen, read, eat at all of these places. I'm in Seattle until Saturday, so if anybody's got great things I absolutely have to do other than the Mariners game, I want to know all about it. Third, give that gift of trust. Be vulnerable. Go first, right? Have that story that you're going to be able to tell. And then finally, use that secret chord. Use that secret chord today in the next time that you have a difficult conversation. Because I'm going to tell you, that is going to make a crazy difference. Because ultimately, this is what you're trying to get at. You're trying to do all of these things, and when you combine them all at once, I promise you, QR code coming just for you. High res too. Connection counts most. And when you decide to connect with somebody else, guess what? They decide to connect with you. And that is ultimately what we are after. So when you keep hearing this phrase, human connection is so important, this is what it looks like in the real world, which is why I made this for you. I made you a little website. Yeah, I want your email address, but I'm not going to send you sales tools. I'm going to send you cool infographics, radio shows, other stuff once a month when you log in. And you're going to be able to get all of these great things. There you go, my friends. This is how we end the connection problem that we have. Thank you. I think we have 5 minutes if you want to ask. Did I get Jimmy? If you got a question? If anybody has any questions, we'll answer them right now.
If you have any questions, just raise your hand.
If you want to be curious, be curious, my friends. You got one too? Oh yeah, you can have one of these. By the way, for those of you that register, I am giving away a free coaching session. The presentation coach is one of the 11,000 things that I do, and so I'm going to give them away to anybody who registers. I'll pick somebody, and we'll go from there. Thank you for coming. All right, you're up, my friend.
So you said to be fascinating. Is it possible, or how do you prevent from being too fascinating? Maybe you have a lot of good stories, and no matter when someone's talking, it's easy to always have something better without intentionally trying to be a one-upper.
I love that you said this. Let me rephrase your question in a better way. No, I'm just kidding. See, I'm just doing it there. 2 minutes. 2-minute answers. Okay, I do panels. I did panels at IMEX earlier this year. Somebody spoke for 7 minutes. I almost punched them in the face. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Stick to 2 minutes and do rounds. So, because I have the same thing. I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this, right? What you do is when you give them one, then the next time you see one, instead, turn it into a question. Right? When you do that, suddenly you're not dominating the conversation and you are interesting to them. Because the thing is, you don't need to give everybody everything, right? You just need to give them enough things. And I do that in another talk about giving people enough so that they'll give you what you want in the first place. Again, superheroes, right? Not supervillains. Hey, let's give some applause for Jimmy. Jimmy's doing such a great job today.
Thank you.
That was the saddest applause I've ever seen in my entire life. Woo, Jimmy!
I can't hear it because of the headphones. All I saw were hands moving, and it touched my heart.
There you go. There you go. Are there any other questions? Okay. If you want to come find me, I'm going to be over at the speaker thing. I'm around tomorrow. We're doing the podcast booth. If you want to be interviewed, you want some content for yourself, come in. I'll interview you for 15 minutes. All right, everybody, go out, make great work, make great connections. I appreciate you for being here. Thanks.